So,
Oh,
welcome
me
everyone.
too.
I'm always so excited to have these conversations. It's so much fun. I feel like I fangirl all the folks on WAPA, and then I get to talk to them, and it's just, it's just really awesome. So Carla, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Say a little bit, about your business. I'm going to ask you some questions about your business and some other things as well, but just kind of give us the brief rundown.
The brief. Okay. The brief rundown. Okay. Well, I'm Carla, and the name of my business is Curly C'ewes. And I would consider myself, we all say fiber artists, which we all are. We all dabble in different things, I think. But my main thing is dyeing. I like to dye. I love to dye even more than I like to spin or do anything else. So if I had a choice, I would choose dyeing in the kitchen as opposed to spinning. That used to be the opposite when I first got started. But I think that I was thinking about that last night, trying to figure out exactly when it was that I got into the spinning and dyeing part of fiber arts. Because I think I was reading a post the other day on the group, and it seems like a lot of us as little kids, we learned how to do crochet or knit or something like that, from a parent or from someone. And so that was me too. I grew up in a family that was pretty creative. My mom was sewing and crocheting, doing all sorts of stuff. And so naturally I wanted to do that too. But I think what happened, I met another parent in preschool, probably about 12 years ago. And she, for some reason, found out that I did some crochet or whatever. And so she's like, you have to come over. You have to come over. I have to show you something. I have this spinning wheel. I have a spinning wheel. I have a drum carder, and you have to come do it. And I'm like, and my first thought was, I'm not interested in a spinning wheel. I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. I can't sit down and be calm and do that because I'm just used to chaos. I was raising my kids, and yeah, time to myself just it really didn't exist. And but she kept at it, and she kept picking at me and picking at me. And so I did go over there, and when I walked in, I was like, I walked into her fiber room, and I was like, I have to have all this stuff. Like I want it all. I want everything. And she had, all kinds of different wool and braids, and she had this huge extra wide Duncan Carter, and she was working on an order because she was doing stuff on Etsy and eBay. And so she got me into that. And then yeah, so she sent me home with a drop spindle and some merino, and I was terrible. I couldn't do it. It was so hard. It was so frustrating. And I was on YouTube trying to find any little video that I could. And I think I found maybe a handful of videos of stuff that would actually, try to teach myself. And then I decided that I'm just not going to do that. I got on Craigslist and I started looking for spinning wheels. And I just bought a spinning wheel instead. And went straight to that. So that's what I've done. So that person who is now my best friend was Jen with Hanks in the Hood. And I think a lot of people know her. She hasn't been doing much fiber stuff for the last, I don't know how many years, just because of different things. But yeah, that's how it all started. And then it was just an addiction after that. And then it was just constantly, I was working full time, and when I would come home at night, I would, feed everybody, get everybody to bed, and then I would just sit in front of my television with my spinning wheel. And I sat there quietly and found so much peace and a little bit of quiet and some meditation time. And it was so nice. And I did that. I think I spun every night for at least 30 minutes to an hour. And I did that for probably a couple years. That was just my thing. The kids knew, hey, when I put you to bed, don't come knocking on mom's door. Like it's done. Like I'm having my time. And so that was it. That's how I started. And then the whole rabbit hole starts, with the let's see, she wanted to do the festival, the Oregon Flock and Fiber. She didn't want to do it alone. She wanted somebody to do it with her. So naturally that was going to be me. And I was like, but what am I going to do? What am I going to sell? And so she showed me how to dye with Kool-Aid. So I dyed a bunch of just just a bunch of little braids with Kool-Aid, and we sold those. And yeah, then she let me use her drum carder. And yeah, I just gradually progressed, after the Kool-Aid. I went and just bought a bunch of dyes, and I have just been working at that ever since. Kind of no rules, just kind of playing with it and seeing what I can come up with.
I love
So
to hear
yeah,
people say that, no rules.
I don't do rules. Like I don't do them well at all. um, and I think probably because I've had to, my whole life. And like now I don't have to. Like I realize like I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to do rules. I appreciate people who follow rules in a strict regimen. I admire them, but it could because I don't do that very well. So yeah, I that's how it was, just learning by trial and error. And then I would keep going back to YouTube trying to find more information. And she had dyed a little bit, but she wasn't really, she wasn't a dyer, she was a bat maker, and so we kind of learned together. And then I started dyeing more and more, and then she's like, oh hey, how'd you do that? So then I started teaching her how I was dyeing. And yeah, so I did that for, I don't know, oh my gosh, for quite a few years, because I was still working full time in town. And then it got to the point to where like my job, the place that I was working at, was going to be leaving. And I live like I lived an hour away from work anyways. And so it got to the point to where the whole office place, the business was moving. And I was like, I think I want to do something else. I think I want to give this a go, the fiber stuff, And so that's when I left that job and actually lived off of some of my retirement for a while and did just fiber stuff. And I did that for probably a good year or two. And that was pretty close to when I first got on Facebook too, I think, because then I started fiber artists were starting to show up with their groups or their pages at that time. And I remember not knowing how to make a page, and I was like, how do I make a business page? How do I do this? And so basically just joined a bunch of different fiber groups, for sale groups and that kind of thing, and started my group. And I started doing and hustling dyed fiber every week. I was doing a sale every week. But yeah, so I did that, and then it just kind of kept going. I took another part-time job, and then I stopped that one. And so now I've been doing full-time fiber probably for the last couple of years, I think.
Okay.
And I'm not making a million or anything, but I'm paying my bills and I'm extremely happy.
Right.
Yeah. Like my friend told me, I was complaining the other day, and I was like, oh my God, these dogs are like driving me crazy. And like, I got so much work to do to catch up. And she's like, Carla, like, don't you remember you told me like 5 years ago, all you wanted to do was do fiber full time and have your Rottweilers? She goes, and
Right.
you're doing that. And I was like, oh yeah,
Right.
I guess I am. I should be thankful, which I am thankful. I was just having a moment of complaining, but it was like, wow, you don't realize that you can manifest these things, especially now, like the internet now. You can do anything if you're an artist. I think over the last, I don't know how many years, but it's really an incredible time for artists to be able to do what they want to do and make a living at it. It's not easy, but the outlets are there. So
For
that is
sure.
just really exciting for me, I think.
So fiber is your full time.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So before, when we were talking before I let people in, you said you live out in the woodsy woods. So tell us
I
a
do.
little bit about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I live at the base of Mount Hood in Oregon. So I am a little over an hour east of Portland. Probably about an hour and a half or so east of Portland. And it's in the Mount Hood National Forest. So I live in this little town, which is growing, but I do live in just a little small town. And yeah, we have woods all around us. You don't have to go very far if you want to go for a hike along the Salmon River, or if you want to go skiing, it's 15, 20 minutes up the road, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's pretty woodsy. And I didn't want to move here originally, but I wanted to stay in Portland, but when I was married at the time and we had a chance to buy something, and so we moved up here. And did that. But it's been a really, really great area. My kids have all went through, preschool up through 8th grade, and then they all went to the same high school. And it was really good place to raise a family for sure.
So how far is town?
Town. So I consider town, the little town of Sandy, which is growing as well, but it's about 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's like I think they say it's about 17 miles. So that would be town. And they have like, you know, the grocery store and that sort of thing. If I need more, then I have to go to Gresham or Portland, but I try to not go too deep into town. It's just not worth it.
Right. Right.
It takes up so much time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I'm about that far too. And I just don't even want to go.
No, I know. Yeah, me neither. Like I used to go into Gresham and do my shopping, which is more like 45 minutes, you know, but then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm spending 2 hours just to commute, just to go to the grocery store. I'm not saving any money or my time, you know, by the time I look at it. So this other town of Sandy has really grown over the last couple of years. And everything I need, I get there. And if not, I get, you know, UPS comes a lot. So the
Yeah.
UPS truck driver knows
Your
my
name.
house very well. So yeah.
So I want to talk about those beautiful colorways you make. They're just gorgeous. And it sounds like you're self-taught and you make usually you make a set of 4
Yeah.
that are
I usually,
similar. So
yeah.
talk me through it. Is there something that inspires you in those colorways? Do you have colors that you gravitate toward? What?
Um, yeah, I think so. I think, well, what I do is I call it kettle dyeing, which I think, you know, that's people have heard that term. And I usually do dye like 1 pound or sometimes 2 pounds at a time. And as far as the colorways, I usually just draw my inspiration on, you know, if I think of something that I saw out and about, or if I see, you know, a picture of something, or if I think about, and I'll even do weird things. Like if I think about someone, I'll think about like, what do I think? What would their colors be? What would they look like if they were colors? Right. So I do things like that. And then doing it for so long too, I kind of know which of my colors are going to, uh, blend or which ones are going to break and what they're going to do and which colors go well together. So there was a time when I would try to write the things down, you know, because I'd want to recreate it. But for me, that just doesn't work for me. And I know, I understand it and I respect it. People doing repeatable colorways. For me, it's not something that I enjoy. So I like to do, I mean, I can, some of my colorways, I go, yeah, it's repeatable to an extent, but the way that I dye, I don't use, I use the dye as powders too. Like I don't pre-mix it into jars, you know, and then pour dye. I don't do that. I do powder dye and that kind of thing. It's
On
rare. Yeah.
the fiber itself.
Directly onto the fiber is what
Okay.
I usually do. And and then there's a lot of turning, you know, or moving the fiber around. I do that, but yeah. So, and I don't name them either. I don't give them names because they're all different. And yeah, it just reminds me of watercolor. Like my older brother used to always watercolor and draw all these really cool, do all these really cool paintings of animals and different, you know, sceneries and stuff like that. And watching him over the years and just kind of watching how, if you see somebody watercolor paint, how they take the colors and they move them, or they move them around, or how they show up and they dry up. To me, that's what my roving looks like to me. It looks like if it was a watercolor painting, you know. So I don't know, but yeah, that's, I just, and then sometimes you think you do it and you're like, oh my gosh, no one's gonna like this, nobody's gonna like
Right.
this, and then
It's the
everybody
first
likes
one
it,
that
and then I'm like,
sells, right?
yeah. And then I'm like, how am I gonna repeat that, you know?
Right.
So but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love dyeing.
Yeah, your colors are just you just have a good sense of it. I have such admiration for people that have good sense of color. I'm always so panicked about making mud.
Yeah, yeah, you know, I know you hear that a lot about people saying, "Oh, if you do this, you're gonna, yeah, it's gonna get muddy, or you're gonna end up with that." And then, but my take on it is that, you know, don't even worry about that, because start out with a small amount of fiber and work with your dyes and see what's going to work together. You know, you have a good idea of what colors would look good together, you know.
Right.
And if you don't want them to get muddy, then don't put them so close together. Leave a little bit of white in between, you know, leave some fiber in between so it won't, so then you can get a better picture of how it's going to come out. But I think when people get muddy with the dyes, which to me, I wouldn't even consider it that. I think everything's art. So I would never even say, oh, that looks like mud or whatever. I wouldn't, because I just think it all is art in one way or another. And those muddy browns, you know, you don't know just because something looks like that. Once you start spinning it out, the fiber is going to take on a whole different color. It's not going to stay that same color the whole time. So you don't know what you're going to get, you know?
Right.
Um, yeah. But I think you have to just kind of have, just let it go and start tossing those colors in and experiment. Don't be afraid. Nobody's
Right.
watching. You don't have to
Well,
show anybody if it doesn't come out. You know, it doesn't
right.
matter. You can over dye it. Just throw some solid, mix up something solid, some solid purple, some blue, pour it in, cover it, mistakes gone, you know.
Okay, so let's talk about, so when I'm blending, I'm blending on the carder because I do botanical immersion dye and it's way more complicated to do more colors.
Yeah.
So you have a big carder.
Mm-hmm.
We share the love of a big carder.
Yes.
And the wonderful thing that I have it, the cart that I have it on, that was such a great idea.
I love it. That was my son's idea. And I was like, thank God I got smart kids to figure things
Right?
out, you know?
Well, and to turn it upside down on the top, that was
Yeah.
awesome. So when, and you make bats, I know because I just finished
Mm-hmm.
spinning a bat that I got from you.
Yeah.
So so braids are the primary thing that you do?
Yeah, the dyeing, the braids is would be the majority of what I do, the
Okay.
main thing.
But then you
Um,
make bats and you do
I like to
demos
make
on
bats
bat
too.
making sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, I love to make bats too. Um, and even I'll take some of the, you know, if I have braids that I've had for a while or they didn't sell or whatever, you know, I'll start pulling them apart and then start putting them through the carder, you know. Yeah, the brother extra wide um jumbo carder, I always call it all kinds of different names, but that big old carder from brother is just, it's amazing. I've wanted an electric carder like since when I first started, but I just never could financially figure out how to pay for it. And then, you know, and then when I got this one a couple years ago, I'm like, you know what, I'm going full steam ahead. I'm going to put money in this carder and I'm going to do it. And because I love the process of carding and just throwing color, you know, throwing colors in there. To me, it's relaxing. Um, so yeah, so when I got the carder, I've done all kinds of different things. I'll do that. I like to um, just blend all kinds of different colors, all and different types. I'll use commercial top. I'll use fiber that I've dyed. Bamboo is probably one of my most favorite add-in type fibers.
Me too.
So I love bamboo. The colors, especially if you buy it already dyed, then you get the dark, rich colors. I've tried to dye it before, and I didn't get the dark colors that I wanted, so it's easier just to buy them. But yeah, I like doing that, mixing those in, and it's fun because you can get such big bats on it if you want. I mean, I don't know that somebody would need that big of a bat for a project, but um, yeah, carding it's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and
I
you
think
don't
I
hurt
got
your
eight
arm.
ounces on mine.
Did you?
I think
I
so. Yeah. I need
yeah,
to adjust mine a little bit. It's still I don't love it yet. I like it. But I think the drums are too close together.
oh yeah,
But I did. I got 8 ounces of, I don't know, farm fiber. I don't remember what it was, but it was huge.
that's a lot for a farm fiber.
Yeah.
That's usually what because like I think I'm with commercial top, you can get a lot on there because it's already smooth, you know.
Right.
The farm top or not, I mean the farm fiber, that would be harder because it gets so fluffy, you know.
Right.
I think my friend Jen, she's got one of those, the same carder, and I think that she did get quite a bit on there. She was working on an amount for a sweater. Um, which that's something I'm trying to do, is be more conscious this year and make like completed items instead of,
I
you
saw
know,
your New Year's list.
yeah. Yes, I'm being optimistic. I've tried to not go a little too crazy and add too, you know, stuff on there to where I go, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But
Right.
yeah,
You're
there's
gonna
a few things
crochet
that I want
some
to try.
things, right?
Yeah, I want to do some cardigans, and I'll probably follow a pattern for one, but I also like to do a made to fit type um jacket, cardigan or something, or made to fit crochet type blouse, and just follow different directions without a pattern, because I don't follow rules and read instructions well. So, and then I want to
And
do
then
I want to find a blouse that has that pineapple stitch in it that usually you would find on doilies. My mom used to make these beautiful little cotton crochet doilies, and
uh-huh.
it would have like the pineapple stitch that would come down, and it's kind of a lacy stitch. And so I wanted to try to do a blouse or something like that, but I'm
And then
trying to just stay on
granny
top.
squares.
No, it's like a
No, I thought that was another thing that was on your list. I can't
oh,
remember.
the granny squares. Yes. Yeah, I want to try to do a new granny square. I don't know if I put every month or not, but um I think that's what I put. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, all the different crazy granny squares. They have, the ones that are, I was thinking maybe I'd start with flowers, because they have ones that have the different flowers, but the ones that are kind of really intricate where they're layered too.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, at the end of the year, depending on how many I make, I might have a pillow cover or I might have a blanket, depending.
All right. And then then there was a blending, you were gonna blend something or create something
Oh,
fabulous.
I wanted to dye a new. I probably have to go back and look at my list. I
Maybe that's
wanted
it.
to dye a new fiber every month. I do want to try new fibers, because I usually stick to. Everybody knows that I do the merino bamboo, because that's like my favorite. I love that fiber. But I do want to try some different breeds on dyeing and stuff. So I want to try to do that, and then I can't honestly remember what else I put.
I'm gonna look.
You're gonna look it
Yeah.
up? Okay, let me know.
Okay. Carla said she's okay. You're gonna spin 4 art yarns a month on average.
Yes, I have to do that because I do this festival. That's the big one. I do this festival in October. It's the only one that I do that's live.
Okay.
It used to be September, October. And art yarns are such a big thing for me there. And I feel like I never have enough. And so it's like there towards the end, it's a crunch, and I'm trying to spin and do everything. And so I thought, if I just sit down every weekend, or pick one day of the week and do a yarn, then I'll have it, and it won't be all this last minute procrastination type stuff that I do.
So will those be fibers then that you have dyed that you will spin then?
Yeah, I will do either probably card up some bats with it so I can get a bunch of different textures and colors.
Right.
And I will also do it with the robe, the wool
Right.
that I dye, and then I'll apply it, with a metallic thread, or do
Okay.
something. I like to do core spinning, because depending on what type of fiber you use, you could get, you know, lots of different looks.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like the tight or the simple core spin. You could do one that's very fluffy, or if you have the different types of fiber or curls poking out, that kind of stuff. And
Okay. So I'm curious because I love core spinning. What do you use for core?
it all depends. I have a cone of some merino wool, but
Like a
I will be
smooth yarn?
honest with you. Oh, yarn. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Like
the
is it
yarn.
smooth though?
Yes, it's smooth,
Okay.
which doesn't always grab so well. It's kind of hard to
Right.
do that. So what has worked for me the best, if you have a commercial wool, like say if you were using something like that wool of the Andes or something like that from Knit Picks or
Andy
whatever.
Highland, uh-huh.
Yeah. So any of those kind of things, those would work because they're fluffier, they're poofier. And I have even used acrylic yarn.
Okay.
So not necessarily Red Heart, but something like that, a worsted weight, a thick one, because the fibers really grab easily on that. And that's what you want, is the fiber to grab on that. If you
Right.
try to do it with something else, like a smooth, sleek, a sleek yarn or a sleek thing, it just doesn't work as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's slippery. Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
just take it and it'll slide. Yeah. But if you're doing it with an acrylic worsted weight or any kind of wool blend worsted weight, mohair is excellent for it,
I
but I
see a
hate
lot
to
of
cover
people.
it up.
I know that I was going to say the same thing. I see that, like a mohair boucle, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I really want to use it for that. I don't
I
know.
know. And then some people are allergic. That's the only,
Right.
usually the allergic to the mohair. But yeah, I've always been, I didn't want to necessarily cover it up,
Yeah.
because I know that, I've tried to spin a boucle yarn years and years ago, and that takes a long time.
It's
I
a
know
lot.
some people will spin their own core, and just spin a worsted
Oh,
weight wool. But then my take on that too is like, well, I don't want to cover it up, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah. I got some cotton that I'm using that I really like.
oh, okay.
It's probably a lace weight 2-ply, and it's not, the ply isn't very tight, and I really struggle with overspinning when I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
spinning. And so this tends to, not overspin so much, and I love it. It's soft, like, like my favorite old t-shirt. So I
Oh.
love to do other things with that yarn too, but it was cheap. They were discontinuing it. I bought 30 skeins the last time I ordered.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, oh, well, I could, it's not a terribly expensive yarn. I could try that. And I have really liked it. And mostly I'm doing like, pretty tight coils on but
Yeah.
fascinating. I think there's so much to do with core spinning and lock spinning, and just
Yeah.
a whole other world of spinning.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing way like back when I got it started, like Lexi Boger was a big one, Plucky Fluff and all that. And I saw those art yarns and I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. So after I kind of figured out how to spin yarn, then I started doing that and
Right.
spinning the core spun and the locks and all this kind of fun stuff. And so this last year, I did kind of challenge myself to be like, okay, look, Carla, you got to just learn how to spin a balanced yarn. You might want to
Why?
figure that out.
Why?
I mean, I don't know. I just thought maybe it'd be a good challenge. I was like, maybe I should figure that out. And so I did. And then I was kind of like, well, I'm kind of bored with that, and then so I moved on to it. So I thought, well, okay, I can do it if I have to, if I really have to. But for me, that's not where I find my joy or my spark.
Right.
It's all about the dyeing. It's all about the doing the crazy fun yarns because it's something that I do just for me, in that respect.
And it sounds like you
Um,
have a good market for it at that festival.
I do, yeah, I do actually, and it does really well, and it's actually kind of crazy because there's not very many people that do it there, which I
Right.
don't know. It's so I get repeat customers that come back, that want certain things or something, and um, yeah, it's just fun.
So what festival is it?
It's Flock and Fiber. Well, it's called
Mm.
Oregon Flock and Fiber.
Awesome.
And it used to be in September. This last year they had it in
Later, wasn't
October.
it?
Huh?
Was it later this year?
It was. Yeah, it was later.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
And that's the one in person that you do?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I'd like to branch out a little bit, but I only do one really as well.
That's me too.
And I don't want to vend outside anymore. I just don't.
At this festival, we used to always have an outside booth. We would do a big double booth.
Okay.
And we loved being out there, but it was with Oregon, you never know what you're going to get weather-wise. Yeah. And so being inside the last 2 years, I was kind of like, I don't think I want to do outside anymore unless
I don't
I'm
want to
like
stand and
in a
hold my
place.
tent in the wind.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I was thinking, unless I'm somewhere where I know the weather's going to be good, but I think about traveling and doing other shows, but I just don't think I want to do that yet.
Well, you have, and we'll change the subject here. You have dogs, so it's harder to get away,
It
right?
is.
So
Yes,
let's
yes.
talk about your Rotties.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. We must be crazy, but yeah. So I have my oldest Rottweiler. He's 10 and a half. And when I got him, my kids were like middle schoolish, and I'm a single parent living up here on the mountain. I'm like, okay, I need to have a little bit of, we could get a dog, but he's got to be, double duty. He's got to have a job, and so we got him because I knew that it would scare people if anybody tried to come, he's
Yep.
my watchdog, right? So anyway, so we got him and I absolutely loved him. I love him. He's still here, and his personality is great, everything about him, they're just so human like. And prior to this, now when I was married, my ex-husband, we had Siberian Huskies and he had Alaskan Huskies. He had a team of sled dogs, like more than a team. He had like over 20 something dogs.
Oh, wow.
yeah, it caused a problem. But but so I've been around all kinds of different dogs. So anyway, so when it was time to get the dog, I knew that I had to pick something that was going to work well with us. And for some reason, I thought a Rottweiler would be what I needed. And so we got him and we loved him to death. And people had told me, these bigger dogs, they only live, to be 6, 8 years old. And I started thinking, I would just get teary eyed thinking, I can't not have my Leroy, what am I going to do? And so my son, my oldest son at that time, he was like, well, I've been thinking about getting a dog. And I'm like, okay, if you get one, it has to be a Rottweiler. And because if you move out, I know I'm going to get stuck with the dog. And it just has to be what I'm going to want, and I'm like, Lilo's getting older. So we would need to have a replacement. And so then we went on and we got the female. We researched her really well and went with a reputable breeder and paid up for her and all that stuff. Because I did have like some medical problems with my first one that I bought. He had constant ear infection. It was a lot of stuff from poor breeding, I think.
Yep.
Um, so we did some more work and we ended up getting her, and she's almost 4 now. So, and Leroy, of course, is still alive. So,
Right.
but we decided at that time, we thought, we had people asking us about the dogs and saying, are you going to breed her? Are you going to, we'd like to have a puppy and yada, yada. And so we did. We ended up finally breeding her, and we had a litter a little over a year ago,
Right. I
last
remember.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, it was a lot of work.
I was
And
gonna say, was it more work than you thought?
you know, yes.
It's a
Yes, only
lot.
because like I didn't want to let the puppies go until I knew that they were old enough, till I knew that they were, that they'd had enough time with their mom. And then, because I think I kept them till they were almost 3 months old
Mhm.
before they went. We only had 4, and 2 of them went off to different homes, and we ended up keeping 2
Okay.
because I wanted to keep a female. And then we ended up falling in love with the little boy. So now we've got him. And so now everything's just
So do you have
revolves around
5
them.
now?
No, I have 4, just
4.
4.
Okay. 4. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't plan on having any more. Um, well, I mean, we might have another litter, but I'm not going to try to raise puppies again, like to keep them as a pet
Mm.
puppy,
Oh, like to keep them yourself?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because trying to do 2 at a time is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever.
We bred for 10 years and
Mm-hmm.
and didn't keep a puppy until the last litter, which was she'll be 2 in June. So we bred for 10
Oh,
yeyou before we kept a puppy. So
that's good. I mean,
oh,
that's a good
well,
record because they're so darn cute, and it's like you just want to, I just wanted to hold them and all and squeeze them. I was like, I have no grandkids, but here I have these grandpuppies,
at
and
8
I wanted
weeks,
to
I'm
keep them
like,
all.
go.
Well, see, that's what happened. So on the next litter, I will not be keeping them until they're 12 weeks old, unless somebody requests that I keep them that long. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, because they were getting pretty big. They're pretty big at
They
12
turn
weeks
into a
old.
pack at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. They've been pretty good. The only problem we've had is a little bit of jealousy with the mom. And she gets jealous of the puppies, which
Oh,
they're
because you
like
have a
100
mom and
pounds.
then 2 puppies
I
from
have
them.
the mom and 2 of her
Got it.
puppies, one
Oh,
female and one male. And so I've noticed lately that she seems to trying to bully the female. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I hope we don't have to keep them separate. I don't know what we're going to do. But we just keep a good eye on them, and they know who's boss. So they respond really well. Like, I decided when I got these dogs, I read about them and I'm like, I have to be the alpha dog. I have to be the one in charge. And so it's nice. You can kind of, say a little something and they pay attention because they want to please, they want to do anything that you want them to do. So, but
right.
yeah, they're a lot of work, but it's very rewarding too.
Yeah.
I tell my son, I'm like, what else would we be doing? What else would we
Right.
do if we weren't taking care of these dogs? What else would we be doing? And then I
Spinning
have to,
and dying
I
and
know all the other more important things. I know. And I've told them all now. I'm like, I don't want to be a grandma anymore. I don't. So no, don't be, don't bring me any grandkids. I got these dogs. My life is full. Just we're gonna go 10 years or so before that
how
happens
old are
because
your kids?
Well, they're up there. My oldest son is 30,
Right.
and I have a 24-year-old and a 22-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but nowadays we're like, oh, starting families around 35 seems to be
Right.
good,
Right.
and they're doing that a lot, a lot later nowadays.
Right.
Mm, but yeah.
Nice.
So
All
that's
right.
basically it. It's dogs and fiber around here and coffee.
Well, you have to have something to keep you going with the dogs and the fiber.
That is true. That's true.
So do you have, I mean, we've talked about your list a little bit, but and I think one of the things on the list was that you wanted to dye new to you fibers.
Yeah, I want to try out a couple different probably I don't know if I'll do blends or maybe just some different breeds or something. With the Wafa sales, I always have the merino bamboo, but I want to try to start bringing in one other type of fiber. Something else to offer, because just because I love it doesn't mean everybody else does,
Right. So
just to have some variety,
like another commercial blend.
It would be, yeah, it would be a commercial
Okay.
blend. Yeah, I think so. There's some farmers here in Oregon that don't live too far. Well, hour and a half or 2 hours or so away, and certain ones that I've bought from before where I can get their fleece and stuff, and then wash it and dye it. But I will admit, like I don't like to do the whole fleece processing thing, the washing of it. It's a lot of work.
There's
I
so
feel
much
like I
labor.
don't ever get it clean enough. So maybe if it was up like for a certain project or something, but I will buy like anything that's curly, like BFL
Like
curls.
locks or yeah.
Yes, I will buy locks, and I'll do that. I'll do the work on that because I love those for art yarns, and they're fun to add into the things. But now I just buy them from the Wafa people,
Right.
the Wafa vendors.
Well, and yeah, and we have a whole lot of folks out there that have gorgeous stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's like having your own kind of, I don't know, buy, sell. I mean, I don't know. It's just nice to be
Yeah, it's like
connected
having
to
your
these.
whole like walking into a mall and it's
Right.
nothing but fiber and wool and everything that you would possibly need. Everything that we need. Someone there in the group has it,
Yep,
you know. Um yeah.
for sure. Okay, so are you going to do off again this year?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I will do it.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. So tell us, let me let Anita in. Tell us where else we can find you. You have Instagram?
I do have Instagram. I
And Facebook.
don't I had a problem. My account got taken over and then it was hard. Yeah. So I don't do a lot with Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook is my main for my social media.
Okay.
Definitely Facebook. And I did start a TikTok account, which is so much fun because they're just little tiny short videos and I
Right.
can get lost on that for hours, unfortunately. Um, and then I did start reposting things on a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And so that's the main thing that I do now.
Okay. So tell us. So on Facebook, you are Curly C'ewes.
Oh, Curly C'ewes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spell it for us because there's an apostrophe
It's
in there.
yeah. And I don't know if I don't know if that makes a difference on there, but it's just Curly, like Curly.
Right.
And then C'ewes is C, and then there is an apostrophe EWES, like use.
Right.
But I don't know if that uh
Oh, nope. It doesn't show up
oh
on Facebook. It's just capital CURLY, capital CEWES.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. And I have a website, but it's being parked right now because I haven't figured out who I want to host it with. The last um company that I was doing that with, they raised their fees quite a bit, their monthly fees. And so I'm just not sure what I'm going to do about that.
So will you
Oh, and then I do have an
rebuild?
Etsy. So I do
Oh, okay.
list some things on Etsy, but not as frequently as I should. It's been kind of these last probably couple of months have been a little bit busy with family things and stuff. So
Okay. So how would they find you on Etsy?
it's Curly C'ewes. You could,
Okay.
yeah, it would
And
be etsy.com/
Curly C'ewes.
Curly C'ewes, or yeah.
And TikTok the same.
Hmm.
All right. I just want to make sure folks can find you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, on the, if they go to the Facebook page, I think I have most of the links
Okay.
on there too.
Okay. All right. Are you vending in January?
I am.
Do you have anything special coming up that we should know about?
In January, actually, I think what I'm going to have, I might have some dyed braids, but actually I've just been working at the Carter for January.
Okay.
I had planned a big December, big bat-tastic, like a big bat sale. And then other things came up, so I wasn't able to do it. But so that's kind of what I'm planning for January, is to start out with maybe just all bats.
Okay.
But we'll see. I do have fiber here, for dyeing as well. So I might do that. I just have to really plan ahead for dyeing because of the dry time,
Oh.
Yeah. And so I end up, because when I dye, I'll do 20 pounds or more at a time. And so then I've got it, all over the place, and I'm having to rotate it in front of different heaters and stuff.
Is it humid where you are?
It can be, and it's just, yeah, and it just rains all the time here, so it is kind of hard to get it to dry. And of course I have to keep it away from any animals, because I don't want any animals, going by it and that sort of thing. So
Right.
yeah, it does take a while for it to dry. So I have to really plan accordingly when I'm dyeing for something.
All right. So do you know when your show is for January?
I know I'm the last one, I think, but I think it's on Friday. I think I'm either on Friday or Saturday. I think I saw it the other day, and I'm going to be the last one for the night.
On Friday, you think?
I think, yeah, I'd have to look, see how organized I am.
That's okay. I only remember mine because I'm the last one of the last day.
Oh, there's yours. Okay, I found Sunday.
Did you find
so
it?
I think yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm the last one on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be 6:30 my time, I think.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so
Usually I think a lot of
Eastern?
the WAFA group members are uh close to the East Coast time, aren't they? It seems like.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
so I'm the last one on
9:30
Friday, and
Eastern.
you're the last one on Sunday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So anything else that you want to share with us?
Gosh, I don't know. No, other than I'm just really thankful to be in this group. I mean, this WAFA group is something like, you know, that I've never really experienced before in any other type of group online with Facebook. The fact that it runs so smooth, and there's never any, problems or issues or anything like that. And just how supportive it is, and how much you can learn from each other, and everybody just really gets along really, really well. But yeah, I'm thankful for that. So Ellen, she did really good. I don't know if she knows how good she did, but she did really good. And
Well, just keep telling her.
and everybody there helping her and supporting her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really something else.
Yeah. It is truly a special group. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I don't see anything in the chat, but I would love to open it up if anyone had any questions or anything that they wanted to ask Carla.
Oh yeah, I forgot to look over.
There's
Jean.
I was gonna say, we're talking about fangirling. I fangirl all of the WAFA vendors, and I feel like I know them, like we're friends. And I got to see Carla at Oregon Flock and Fiber, and it was like a reunion of long lost. Like we knew each other. It was just amazing. And
it was really neat. Yeah.
It was so cool. And I just want to thank you, Carla, for when you do your Tuesday bats, because I know it's maybe a little weird. You're on your end and you're talking, and we can't talk to you. We have to type it in. But I feel like I'm right there. And from watching that, I mean, you're kind of part of the reason I started wanting to blend. And, my blending board, I can't quite make huge bats like on your drum Carter, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, you know, that weekly presence and to sort of watch how you put the colors together. And, you know, I want to be a
Yeah.
Carla and a Teddy and an Erica and everybody else. And when I grow up in my fiber world.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm gonna start doing those again. I don't know, I haven't quite figured out what day and time works best for everybody. So I'll have to figure that out, but I do like to do that. And it's funny. It's like, I remember you saying that one time. You're like, well, I feel weird because we can't talk to you. We can't say anything when you're there. And I'm just, doing this, talking the whole time. And but it's weird because I see you guys there. And even though, what you're typing, it comes up and it just, for me, it feels like you guys are there,
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
yeah, it does. It feels like you guys are really there. And otherwise you're kind of looking, going, well, I don't know if anybody's on. I don't know if, I mean,
I
somebody
think
might
we're
watch it
there.
later or something, but it's so nice to have the feedback,
It's fun.
yeah, it feels like it,
And
like you're
it
right
keeps
there.
the group sort of, it's not just a sale. The sales
Right.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Everything's amazing, but having these chats that Teddy's doing and having those different types of thing, it's more, those of us who aren't vendors feel a part of the community in those events. So I think that's great.
Well, and I love
Yeah.
that people are doing those regular kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's nice to plan my week around showing up for those kinds of things. And I know that I'm going to get a new idea, or I know that people I know are going to show up. I think it's just such a piece that ties our community together.
Yeah, I really like it. I like the accountability. I'm like, you know what? You're going to be having on a schedule, Carla. You're going to,
right?
Gonna do
Every
this.
Friday, I got to have something new. Or
yeah. And,
maybe I should start having like a Facebook Live of me cleaning my kitchen so I'm held accountable.
That's a great idea.
Don't go crazy. Let's not do that.
Okay.
Because then I'll feel like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to go do that.
So I appreciate that all you give back to the group.
Well, thank you.
All right. So Margot asks, well, I guess you kind of answered. Margot asked if you were going to be doing those bat demos again.
I know. I'm going to do it again soon, Margot. I know, and you're always on there too, and I appreciate that. So I am going to do it soon. I had some family things coming up in the last few months that's kind of really taken me away from, I was gone for a couple weeks and that kind of stuff. So it's nothing fiber related that's keeping me from doing it. It's just outside commitments. And but I will be doing it again because I have so much fun doing it. I really, even if I wake up that day and I'm kind of like, oh, I don't, if I'm not feeling motivated or anything like that, then I go, no, I've got this thing I have to do, the bat demo. As soon as I get on and I start chatting with people, it's just such a mood lifter, because I live up far away. I don't really have any local friends or people to get together with. I don't belong to a guild. And so I don't really, go to anything like that to have like what we do with our community here with WAFA, all online. For me it is. So yeah, I will be doing it again soon. I just don't know when. I'll shoot for something next week, and I like to have a certain day because it, like Teddy said, it's so nice to have a certain time in a day and then to do it on a regular basis, because it helps keep me, and then people know, what's going on. They can hop on there and say hey or whatever. And
I think even if they can't make it, they know that it's going to show up that day and they can watch it that night. Or
yeah,
I just think there's a nice, it's nice, it's just a nice feeling when that's regular. Okay,
yeah.
then Fran wants to know, what type of new fibers are you going to dye? And she says maybe Polworth.
Maybe Polworth. I could do Polworth. I know Polworth is nice. I really, I had some Rambouillet that I really liked. So I was thinking about that. But I'm up for it. So anything that anybody's interested in, let me know. But I do hear Polworth a lot. I do, yeah, that's a favorite for folks.
Yeah.
But I would say definitely and maybe some blends, maybe something with some silk. I know folks like silk in there. And so I don't know. BFL's really, I mean, everything's really nice. How can you pick?
Right.
But that's why I thought, oh, I'll just say I'm going to start dyeing new fibers, and then I can just pick something different every month or whatever. Because the colors are different too. You know, when you're dyeing what you're dyeing this way is not going to turn out the exact same, you know, on a different type of fiber. So it's fun to see those differences too.
Always an adventure.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, gals? Got some folks that are working hard on things while they're
I
listening.
know. That's so good. I know I get on in the evenings, and I'll get on YouTube or get on somewhere where somebody's doing something, because I like to have just the noise in the background, you know,
Right.
and it's just to work on something. But yeah. Well, thank you, Teddy,
Oh, my
for
pleasure. Thank
doing
you so
this.
much for doing this.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming,
All right.
listening to me.
One of my projects this week is to try to get some of these, the ones that I have remembered to record.
Oh, yeah.
Including this one. I'm going to try to get them converted, and then I'm going to try to figure out where I'm going to put those. And I'll make a post and let you know, because Carla and I were talking about that. It might be YouTube. It might be the website. They might be better places than trying to figure out. I don't want to make a post with an hour-long Zoom video. So I'll figure it out. I'll talk to Ellen, and we'll try to get some of those up so folks can watch.
Yeah, I've missed the other ones because I would put it on my little calendar or something, and I would be in town at the grocery store or whatever, because usually on Tuesdays is when I go grocery shopping. And so I've missed a lot of them, or I've only caught the last half. So yeah, I'd like to go back and see what everybody has to
Well, I will
say.
try to get them up, and I'll try to let folks know where they're going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, Margot. I have to, whatever happens, I'll make a post and I'll let you guys know where it's headed.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for being with us this evening. Always so much fun. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye.
Bye.